All right, good people. So we need to talk 23 is back. And joining me this evening is a first time guest. Good brother is having a conversation with in one of the groups that I'm in, the commission. And during the conversation it was very enlightening and insightful what this brother was talking about. And I just wanted to bring him on to kind of, you know, discuss further what we were talking about in the room. So joining me this evening is Jannard, aka Pancho, a rapper, and I don't know if you want to say podcast or anything like that. Good brother from the conversation that I've seen in the group and everything from the Bay Area. How you
Appreciate
doing
it.
this evening?
I'm good. I appreciate the compliments, bro. I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm not a rapper. I'm an artist.
An
Yeah,
artist.
I'm an artist. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm an artist. Artist is a little more than a rapper. Artist is all music.
Mhm.
I do. I am in hip hop, but from the West Coast. But I got music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was listening to some of your music, and I will say I like the was it Back It Up? I
Oh,
like
back up.
Yeah, Back Up.
Back up.
I like the
Yeah,
way that
yeah,
you
yeah.
you infuse the Marvin was that Marvin Gaye in
Yeah.
this
Oh
song
no, that was Rhythm of Life.
Rhythm. Sorry, Rhythm of Life.
We
Uh,
outside. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I like that one. I was listening to it. Like I said, I was just trying
Thank
to
you, fam.
familiarize myself with some of your music and everything. And I will say I like the intro and everything that you
Thank
did
you.
with that one.
For
So
sure.
so we could start. So for the people that may not know you, who is Jannard, aka Pancho?
Gennaro. Uh, who am I? As of today, uh, I'm a follower of Christ, firm believer of Christ, strong in my faith. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a grandfather. Um, you hear I didn't say daddy. I'm not a baby daddy. Yeah, I'm past that. Yeah, that's it. I'm a good husband to my wife. We raised our child. She's 19. I have another daughter who's 29. I didn't raise her. Um, in and out of jail and in and out of addiction. Prevented that. But my youngest daughter, she's 19. She's on her own now. She just left home like a year ago. And I'm a grandfather. I have two beautiful granddaughters, Gervais and DeJour,
Mhm.
for my oldest daughter. And um, I'm just learning to live life, you know. That's all I am. I'm like everybody else, searching for peace and security, you know.
Mhm.
That's it.
So for
Good
those of us,
music, some good weed.
yeah, so for those of us that may not know, what it what was it like growing up in San Francisco in the Bay Area for you?
Mm. It was challenging because I came from a single family home. My mother and father were married, but my dad he was in the streets, um, and he was in and out of prison. So it was a struggle growing up at home with my mother. She was a strong-minded black woman, strong. Went to school, went to the army, was in prison
Mhm.
and out of prison by the time all that. By the time I was like 8 years old, so she had a lot of personalities. Um, let me see. She worked hard and provided. She was a provider
Yeah.
uh, in abundance. Yeah, I can say that. Um, she taught me what she knew how to. She parented it the way she knew how. She had me at 19. She went through some things. Um, yeah, we grew up inner city, Fillmore District on 80 and Laguna.
Mhm.
Um, she worked at a convalescent home. right behind the projects I stayed in. Um, it wasn't safe for me growing up as I look back on my childhood.
Mhm.
For the like I say the first 6 years, I was the only child until I was like six, five and a half, six. Um, my mom put me in group home in a residential treatment program because she couldn't really handle me. I was running away from home at like the age of 5, 6 years old. She didn't know what to do. She used to take me to see a therapist. They convinced her to admit me in this residential treatment program, and I just never came out. Like from the in and out, like sometimes like she would through her life, she made time for me, and then I could come home, and it wouldn't work out. I would go back in the system, and um, I stayed in the system from like six, maybe like seven, like yeah, like seven until I was like 13, and yeah, that was difficult. So
So
uh,
do you think that the running away and the difficult times and everything came from knowing what you know now? Do you think that that came from missing your father, or is it just kind of you and your mother butting heads because you said she was full of personality and stuff?
yeah, and I meant that when I said she had a lot of personalities. At the time I didn't know it was different personalities. It was just she was a lot to deal with.
Hmm.
But as I grew and matured, I understood that she was a person just like anybody else.
Okay.
And sometimes we get confused. They're our mother, our father, but they're people.
Hmm.
You know, um, I think I'm pretty sure the way that I grew up, the things that I did was because my father wasn't there. It wasn't a balance. My mother worked. I was home by myself. I'm in the projects. You're growing up fast. There was no nobody to watch me.
Hmm.
Um, it was the '70s, late '70s, early '80s.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, my mother was she did teach me all she could as her person, as a person that she was. Um I don't think that she really she loved us, me and my sister,
Hmm.
but she could do without kids. She
Okay.
was used to be, and that came from raising her four brothers and three sisters. She was
Okay.
tired. Yeah, she was tired at a young age, and so but yeah, definitely my dad not being there that kept the door open, and I took advantage of that. I
Okay.
didn't want to be around the discipline and the mood.
Hmm.
Kids are smart. Kids are smarter than we give them credit for. You know.
Definitely. So at what point did you get into, I was at what age, I would say, do you remember getting into your first, I guess, serious bit of trouble?
Mm, mm, I would say when I was 19.
Okay.
Was I 19? Yeah, I was 19. I went to the county jail for like 6 months for an attempted robbery. I never really got in trouble, even though I was in the system, in and out of the system. Um, I dodged a lot of bullets.
Okay.
So I grew up in the crack era.
Hmm.
I sold crack, hustled it. I never got caught selling it. You know what I mean? I never went to jail for a lot of things, until, like I said, I was 19. Yeah, I was 19. Yeah, that was the first time I went to jail.
So then would that being the first time that you actually got caught? and actually had to go in. What was your mindset going in? And then what was your mindset once you were actually in there?
Mm. My mindset going in was I knew I just heard the rumors of you know what I mean. I just heard the rumors. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be that, and I'm just like, I'm gonna take it how it comes. I was in another city at the time too. I was in Sacramento.
Okay.
So I had heard, my years out there at the time, back and forth out there. I had heard about their county jail. It was a place you didn't go, and they killed people there. And, um, it was a racist jail. It was just so going in. I was just like, I think I was kind of numb, and I say that because I didn't really understand. Like, I knew what happened and I know I was going to jail, but I didn't know what to expect.
Okay.
Getting there, it was like just survive,
Mm.
just survive. And I went with two co-defendants, both relatives of mine. And um I'm 47, so the telling like it is today wasn't
Wasn't
for
big for you.
everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was at a minimum, but
Mhm.
we 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 were too hard headed. And the way I grew up, um, my morals were always, I was always taught, mind your own business. You live longer. You
Mhm.
know, uh, you hear no evil. You see no, if, especially if it doesn't have anything to do directly with you.
Mhm.
Um, and just being in the streets and in the system, you already know that's just like taboo. So
Yeah.
we knew, and we like I said, we grew up like that, and nobody told. You just rode your own beef. It was an attempted robbery, so it wasn't. We didn't really get it. It was the first time
Mhm.
offense. We didn't know we weren't looking at a lot of trouble. We did, but we didn't. We just wanted to get out. Like shit.
Mhm.
And it was like, well, take a strike and probation. That was the deal for everybody. So we
Okay.
all did it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, but that was my first time really getting in trouble.
Okay. So then once you get out for the 6 months, how long how long did you stay out of trouble after getting out the
Um,
first time?
about a year and a half. The next when was it? Year 90? No, 95. No, about a couple of years.
Okay.
Because I caught a serious. Both of them were serious cases, but it was my second time getting caught, and I got caught for assault with a deadly weapon, grave bodily injury. That was 2 years later.
Okay. And
Yeah, that
then
was two.
with that one, did going in the second time with this charge, was your mindset a little different because now you did you have a better understanding going in this time to okay, now maybe facing some serious time, or was it still I'm gonna just go in and trying to get back out?
Well, the second case, the assault with the GBI, the victim, they had a victim, but
Hmm.
they had a victim in the first case too. But like I said, it was my first time, so they, and it was right at the time when they had signed the three strikes, but it was my first time, and so I didn't really, I didn't go to prison or do any serious time. The
Okay.
second time, um, when I spoke to the lawyer, the first offer was 4 years. And I was like, no, it was 32 months
Hmm.
and a strike. So that would have mean I had two strikes.
Oof.
And like I said, three strikes was already on and cracking. You know what I mean? And so I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. And so I was like, I'll go to trial because of the optics of the case.
Mhm.
You know, I was assaulted, so I assaulted somebody back. I just overdid it. Dude, but hey, when you in that moment, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? And so I sat fighting that case for like almost a year because the victim wouldn't come to court.
Okay.
I didn't know to ask for a speedy trial. I didn't know anything. Nobody really say, "Hey man, look, this is how you fight that case. You got a case you could beat." And I knew the victim wasn't going to come to court. And but lo and behold, the victim got caught a case during that year, and so it was tell on him and go free,
Mhm.
and that's what they did. And yeah, I went to prison. Like I said, the offer was 4 years. I went to trial. The trial lasted 2 days. I got sentenced to 6 years.
But was it 6 years without the strike?
6 years without the strike.
Okay. What did you think about the time, when you heard 6 years? Was it
Oh shit! I thought I was going. That was well. Everybody I was going to court with, and because you talk to people and they weren't facing a lot of time at that time. The way the county jail was, certain wings had people who were viol. They had a lot of violators back then.
mhm,
So I was a person. I had a new case, a new beef, and so the people all around were facing a couple years, but at the most, but I was facing the most. And I didn't know what to do. It was like 6 years. I was like, 6 years? What the fuck? Like, I was 21, so just imagine.
so now that you go in, going this time and you're looking at the 6 years and everything, it's gonna sound like a crazy question, but how do you prepare yourself to go in and do the 6 years?
Prayer. Yeah, prayer and just will. No matter what I went through, I wasn't gonna die. I didn't believe that. I didn't see myself, nobody killing me, or I didn't know what to expect. People tell you, oh, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that. You don't know until you get there.
Mhm.
And yes, it's not what you expect when you get there.
So so you mentioned prayer. So I know you said the way that you grew up and everything. So who introduced you to prayer? Because I know a lot of times, you have people, that are in the streets and stuff, and they may not have a relationship or anything with God or believe in God or anything like that. So at what point did you get introduced to God, or was God always a part of your life growing up?
Always. So I think let me see to be correct. I went to a Catholic school
Okay.
in elementary, St. Dominic's, where they did Sister Act 1 and 2.
Okay.
I went to that school. So that was where, you know what I mean? I
Mhm.
understood God. Though I was like 9, 10. Um the principal, I'll say this, what made me um want to know who God was, because the principal back then, you if you went to the principal's office, you got paddled
Mhm.
with consent of the parent. Most parents gave consent. My mother didn't play that.
Mhm.
So when I went to the principal's office, and I was off the hook. Yeah, I was a little project boy. These Most of the kids that go to Catholic school, paid Catholic school, are,
Mhm.
parents are doing pretty good. My mother was doing pretty good. That's why she sent me to the school.
Mhm.
Um, we were doing pretty good financially. I was I wasn't cut out for that. So when I went there, and I would go get sent to the principal's office. You know, you had that wear your little uniforms,
Mhm.
and I liked the girls. So a lot of the young guys that age, they didn't like girls. I liked the girls. I knew how to cuss. Yeah, I didn't want to do schoolwork. you know, yeah. I came from a different environment, and
Mhm.
they placed me there. So when I got in trouble and I would go to the principal's office, she knew she couldn't discipline me. I wouldn't. She would have had to fight me, but my mother was like, no, that's not gonna happen. And she would just talk to me with a lot of patience
Okay.
that I never seen. And she was a nun. It was a nun.
Mhm.
The principal was a nun. That was, like I said, it was a Catholic school. And she was so patient with me and loving with me. I didn't have the experience when you go to the principal's office, it's bad.
Mhm.
And so I would ask her, like, why are you so nice? Because my mother wasn't nice. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, it was a serious time back then, though. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? The early 80s were a serious time in our community all over this country. And so I didn't get to see the happy mom. My daddy wasn't there. My mom was mad, and so. But this was like really somebody who outside of my family who really sat down and talked with me and had patience with me. And I think that was when I was introduced to God. I think the seed was planted, so they say.
Okay.
Had to be. You know what I mean? I still
Yeah.
remember the layout. That's my school. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So at what point? So now during this, and I'm not asking for any detail or anything, but during that 6 years, were there any times when you got into any major trouble in there, or was it just you keeping your head down and just trying to get through the 6 years with as little
I
trouble
don't know.
as
I
possible?
got into a fight one time, and then there's always the threat of riots in California prisons.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a higher level prison, a higher level security prison because I was younger. And so when you're younger, and then you have, according to their system, the amount of time that I had, and I didn't have a GED at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I hadn't been to the military. They base their system where they place you according to that kind of system. So
Okay.
being young and uneducated, they put me on a higher level system
Mm-hmm.
where you're on the yard with people with 400 years. Yeah, that might be your celly.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was you can't really explain it. There's nothing in society that could ever prepare you for staying in a stay in prison. Not one day, let alone 6 years. It just is like all I knew was do live or die, and I'm living. So whatever, I didn't come from the gangs. You had to learn about in there,
Mm-hmm.
and so basically that was just what it was. Like I say, I did get into one fight. I almost got into let me see, I almost got into a couple, but I got into one fight, and you learn to keep watch your temper because you're not bad in there. You know what I mean? It's not society. You
Mm-hmm.
can't go get anybody unless you're affiliated. It's just it's uh it's horrible. It's hell. It's hell on earth. I can say that. That's what it is.
Okay. So for the young people or people that haven't been in trouble and stuff, was it how was it? I understand that possibly, especially back then in the 80s, early 90s and things like that. Was it harder because you weren't affiliated, or was it, or like you said, or was it just it is what it is because you were in there, like you said, you had one fight, you possibly almost got into a couple other fights and things like that. But was the 6 years harder because you weren't affiliated?
Um, sometimes yes, and then sometimes no. Depending on, I would say, depending on what prison you're in.
Okay.
So they sent me to a Southern California prison,
Okay.
and I'm from the Bay Area. Well, inside the prison system, the Bay Area and Southern California, we don't really get along because they have Crips and Bloods. We don't.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They have a whole different culture than we have. So my time down there was tense.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was yeah, it was be on the ready. You know,
Hmm.
it wasn't that many of us, but God's grace was on me because yeah, you can get it in there. Yeah, just because you from somewhere else and they send you to another prison and you don't have people with you,
Hmm.
and yeah, by numbers you can get it. So and I think this is my wife coming in. Hold on, let me just let her know.
Right back. All right. So with the so like for me, the furthest west that I've been is Arizona. So for someone that may not have been out west or really don't know too much about the West, what is the what is the biggest difference between, the Bay Area and I guess the rest of California or the rest of LA?
Mm, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a different culture. The Bay Area's culture is different. We they have gangs, but it's not. How can I explain it? Uh, if you're not affiliated with gangs,
Hmm.
you can go ahead about your way.
Okay.
Versus Southern California, it's all gangs. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Hmm.
So um, it's really not gangs up here. It's street gangs. It's not in the Bay Area. You have street gangs. You don't have Crips and Bloods, so you don't have the same kind of culture as you would have a say in Southern California.
Hmm.
The culture here is more hustle, um, selling everything, selling cars, selling weed, selling drugs, um, a lot of identity theft, and a lot of human trafficking. Big on human trafficking.
Okay.
That's a big market in the Bay Area. It's
Okay.
human trafficking, unfortunately. But yeah, so you can like in San Francisco, Oakland, you can say what you want. The Crips and Bloods never came there. They
Okay.
tried, but we didn't want that, so it stayed further away from us. You know what I mean? It picked up in Sacramento. It's just not to say it didn't work out where we was at. We had the Bay Area's culture is original from when blacks first migrated
Hmm.
to California. We kept that,
Okay.
you know.
Okay. So after your, and I just had to ask that question before we got too much further into it.
It's all good.
So after your 6 years are up, you're getting released and everything. What is your mindset this time coming out?
Well, I'll say this: during them 6 years, as I continued to, I wanted to learn. I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to come back, so
Okay.
I took trades. I got my GED. They had a college program there, a junior college program. I attended that for like a year. Um, but I had an addiction also. I had a
Okay.
heroin addiction at the same time. So when I paroled, I didn't get used drugs right off. Um, I had support from my stepfather and my mother.
Hmm.
Um, and I was determined I'm a go getter. So got employment. I did the little temporary jobs for a minute, and I gained a full time employment. And my view on life was just don't go back uh, to prison. And the way I was living and I lived, I didn't think it would ever lead me back. But I had an addiction, so
It led
as
you
much
back.
as I thought I could, function with it, you
Hmm.
can't, and so I went through that. Yeah.
So at what point, and this is going may go back a little bit. So at what point did your heroin addiction start?
Well, I first started getting high on powder cocaine when I was 16,
Okay.
and I did that until I was like 19. 19 was the first time I tried heroin. And over the course of about a year or two, I got addicted, and I really didn't know it. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
really didn't reckon towards the end of those 2 years, because towards the end of those 2 years, that was like from '94 to '96. So
Okay.
towards the end of '96, before I got incarcerated, I kind of recognized I had to have it.
Okay. And then so once you were in jail, um, did the did the addiction slow did being incarcerated, did that help the addiction slow down or did it kind of remain the same?
I wasn't familiar with the addiction.
Okay.
And then I was young, and your body is strong, you're distracted. So I didn't have it, so I didn't
You didn't.
crave it.
Okay.
I couldn't, my mind didn't recognize it yet. It was like, okay, it's gone. And then I was in Ironwood for like the first year and a half of my term.
Mhm.
And then my points dropped, meaning you program without getting in any trouble and like that for a year.
Okay.
And so your level will drop when your points drop. They sent me back to San Quentin. And
Okay.
so when I got back to San Quentin, I seen more dope there at one time than I had seen on the street at the time.
Wow. Okay.
And my cellie, at the time, he was bringing the heroin in, so it was, you know what I mean? Yeah.
You couldn't escape it even if you wanted to.
Well, yeah, I could have, but I chose not to. Yeah, I chose not to. Shit, I'm spending years in prison. This is an escape, and I was taking it. Shit, you know.
So you said you got out, you had full-time employment and everything like that. So how long after getting out this time did it take for you to kind of, start getting back into stuff? I know you said the addiction picked back up once you came out, but at what point did you start getting into trouble again?
After that 2 year mark,
Yeah.
home for 2 years. I started going back to some of the projects in San Francisco,
Mhm.
Portrayal. At the time, my granddaddy, rest his soul, my mom's dad, he was staying in some projects out there called Portrayal Hill
Mhm.
Project, and it's where O.J. Simpson is from.
Okay.
And so I made an excuse because he was there. I'm gonna, go mess with my granddaddy, but he was a heroin addict. And then my first cousin stayed right down the street from him. So it was just like, I can go to work, and then on the weekends I can come back over here when I get off work, you know, and I can hustle, because I'm back around the street. So, and then I had family. Then I had like three relatives who stayed up there at the time, and they used and sold drugs. So, um, I just got back in it. The only difference was I didn't stay in the city. I stayed in Oakland. I had a
Okay.
studio apartment at the time in Oakland. And yeah, it was just the choices I made. I made those choices consciously.
Mhm.
Nobody influenced me to, get back in the streets, dibble and dab, and I did that on my own, with no influence. It was something that just was in me. I hadn't unlearned those behaviors
Okay.
going through prison. I and so those were my behaviors. So eventually I went back to what I knew.
Okay. So I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit because
Okay.
in the group in the chat that we were talking about in the commission group when I reached out to you and stuff. So we're jumping ahead. So at what point were you married when you had your oldest daughter or
No,
what?
I had my oldest daughter when I was 16.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, my youngest daughter was born in 2003. I went back to prison on my second term in 2004.
Okay.
But yeah, she was born in 2003.
Okay. And so now I know in the chat we were talking, you said, you were losing, lost your family, different things like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, to the heroin addiction in 2000. And my daughter was born in October 2003. My my wife now,
Hmm.
at that time we were, just boyfriend and girlfriend, and we had a child, but we were together for 3 years, uh, and my addictions got too much, and I lost everything, and she put me out and like you gotta go, gave me $25. She was like, you gotta go, it just was too much. We had a child. I wasn't um, being a father. I was. She didn't want that. I wasn't in my right mind,
Hmm.
and so like 6 months after that, I caught a 12-year term.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I did 10 years off that, and I came home when my youngest daughter was 10.
Okay. So when you got locked up that last time, that 10-year bid, what what made you say, all right, I got to get my shit together. This is it for me.
I didn't. I didn't because I had so much time. It was like it felt like life.
Hmm.
So like fuck, I gotta just live here the best way I knew how for 10 years.
Hmm.
And yeah, I didn't not until let's see, halfway through my term, I got sick with a disease called valley fever.
Hmm.
Um, it's um it's a spore, a fungus that is prevalent in all southwest regions of the US.
Okay.
So all the border states that border Mexico,
Hmm.
going down into Central America, South America, um, and it's a deadly fungus. And so at that prison, um, where they have the prison, it was in Avenal in Central California, a lot of agriculture and stuff like that. Well, that fungus thrives there, and it's airborne. You can catch it airborne. You just breathe it in. And yeah, I got sick and almost died behind the shit. And yeah, that was my wake up call. That right there. Yeah, I was in the hospital for like 9 months while I was in prison.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so that was my wake up call.
So so I so now and then once you got out of that, did that, and I hate to say it, it sounds, cliche or anything, but that truly like scared you straight, like, all right, enough of this shit. And it was like when I come home, I'm gonna do everything totally different.
Yep, it did. And I say this, when I woke up, when I say it woke me up, when you wake up in stages. So I woke up from the first stage. I was woke from the first stage, and so I didn't use drugs anymore. Um, but I had been gone so long, I had a cultural shock, so I wasn't ready for society. Even though I stayed home for 5 years, um, that was a battle, and then battling the old behaviors, not the drug addiction at all, but being in the drug areas, being around pimps, and just being in the life, and then not being around it, and then uh, just doing too much. And I didn't unlearn I had unlearned how to use drugs, but there are a lot of behaviors that are associated with that come with that.
Mhm.
And so I wasn't woke from that stage. So I still had a lot of street habits. I didn't know how to talk to people. I was confrontational. And so, yeah, that not, not unlearning a lot of the behaviors associated with coming from where I came from, the
Okay.
false narratives, the false teachings, I didn't unlearn those things. And so, unfortunately, I repeated uh, a behavior associated with people who are still in a battle within themselves. I'll say that.
Okay.
And my anger got the best of me. And yeah, I ain't gonna say even my anger got the best of me. Some people came to my, well, yeah, it did. It did because it, the way I responded to something that was did to me,
Mhm.
I didn't have to respond that forcefully, and that led to them responding forcefully. And then um, we had words. I went upstairs to the house. This is in 2018, and this is with a neighbor.
Mhm.
And so I go upstairs. So when we had words, that was it. It was my neighbors. It was the mother of that household.
Mhm.
She was the adult of that household. And so we had words, and then I went home, went upstairs, and then her sons came home, and she told him what happened. Him and his friends, they run up to my place, threats, banging on my door. Blah, blah, blah. I come out with the Mossberg, not here, and just so happened, um, somebody had called the police. The lady I had words with called the police,
Mhm.
and so when I came out, when they were running up to my door, and I came out with the Mossberg, the police had pulled up and seen everything. So I went back for that for 2 years.
So so now at so the 2 years in, when does the music come in for you?
It has always been there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've been writing since I was like 8 years old, since like 1983.
Mhm.
Um, so just let me see. I think my first unofficial time I recorded a solo album. I think it was in 2001. But I've been affiliated and acquainted with music all my life. Um, in the early 80s, I watched my uncle make music with the reel to reels,
Mhm.
the SB 1200s, the Technique 1200s, so I was always around music, people who created music. That was being around my dad's brother, and then my mom's brother. He was a DJ also.
Yeah.
So and I grew up in a household back then. It was LPs and records, so it was 1,000 records in my household at any given time. And that's all. Like people like the internet. That's how we loved music back then. That
Yeah.
was what we had.
Mhm.
The internet today for young people and children today is music for us because that was we didn't have the internet. We had music. We had artists. Yeah. We
So
had Rap City and BT, Midnight Love, and yeah, The Box and MTV. That's what we had. VH1, VHS1. That's what we had. So.
so then so let me ask about the reconciliation, with your wife and and your youngest daughter and stuff like that. I know it had to be a great feeling, but what was that? Well, describe that feeling for me once everything was able to come back together.
It was it was a miracle. God could bless me with a miracle because before I came home from doing the 10 years, I had talked with my wife and she was just getting out of a relationship at the time. She was with someone for like 10 years for the whole time I was gone, but their relationship was in it, not on me coming home, just what they had went through.
Mhm,
And so when I came home, it was just get on your shit, handle your business, stay away from the areas, the drugs, and sit down. Sit down. That's what it is. When you need to lay down, lay down.
mhm.
And during that journey, um, God blessed it, so I was able to get a place for my family, for my wife, myself, and my daughter, and we never looked back. But it was I had let me back up. Before I came home, I spoke with her and I told her I was getting ready to come home.
Mhm.
And let me see. In my mind, they weren't married, her and the guy she was with. So I was like, I'm getting my family back. That's what I was telling myself. Like, when I go home, I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, it wasn't right away. It was like maybe like a year later.
Mhm.
And yeah, then I wanted to get married and yeah, be with my family.
So then let me ask you this as we get ready to come to a close, because like I said, once you go and enjoy dinner with the family and everything.
For sure.
So for so with everything that we see today, with all of these young artists, doesn't matter if it's R&B, rap, whatever genre of music you want to fall into, they all are messing with these different drugs and different things like that. What's what's some well, two-part question. What's some advice that you can give them outside of just saying leave the drugs alone? What's some real advice that you could give them?
I would say growing up, don't do what everybody else is doing. So, and that's universal. No matter, well, I'll say that's universal in this country
Mhm,
because we all have the same thing that goes on in the urban areas, the suburban areas, the broke down areas, the super rich areas. We have a culture of peer pressure and drugs in this country.
mhm,
That's the culture. That's just what it is, and violence. So what I would say is don't do what everybody else is doing because during your journey growing up in this country, you're going to experience your friends and see your friends do drugs, do violence, and what was the other thing I said? Drugs, violence, and something else. Um, yeah, but do to do different than what you see because our children are going to go outside and they're going to see those things. They're
mhm.
going to see the gangs. They're going to see everything we don't want them to see
Yeah.
because the culture dictates that this is a free country. You know what I mean? And so I would say don't do. what you see your friends do. Because growing up, most of your friends, I don't care what setting in you are, most of your friends are going to succumb to some kind of accident. Today it's going to be drugs. It's going to
Mhm.
be overdose today. Gangs. Today it's going to be gangs and drugs. So you're going to see your friends do that and go through that and be violent. Gangs, drugs, and violence.
Mhm.
I would say, don't do that. Don't do what you see,
Mhm.
and even people you know, don't do that. Give yourself a chance.
Yeah.
Life is boring.
Yeah.
And as a youngster, you don't understand that yet
Mhm.
because of our culture, because of the gangs, because of the violence, because of the sex, because of the drugs. You want that. You know what I mean? I wanted it. I didn't, I wasn't, and it wasn't so much I had seen that. It was the culture, it was the environment I came into.
Mhm.
So I automatically wanted in certain things, and you know, kids, like I said, are more intelligent than we give them credit for. If they weren't, how do they grow up to become presidents and lawyers and they're fucking smart. You know what I mean? They don't know how to channel it yet, but
Mhm.
they're brilliant. They are. Um, but I would say, yeah, value your health.
Mhm.
That's the second thing I would say. If you value your health, you won't do any of the things that will bring your health down.
It's very true. That's
Yeah.
very, very true. And I think that's the part that a lot of them miss out on. And let me ask this part. So, what's your take
Hold
on?
on. Hold on. One more thing. The main thing, that's advice.
Mhm.
That's advice I would give a youngster. A statement I'm gonna make is learn who God is and have a relationship with him. I'm telling you that. If
Mhm.
you're young, learn who God is. It'll make the difference of your life. Yeah, especially today.
So let me ask this last question then. So what do you say for the artists that say it, that you'll hear say, oh, drugs, make me more creative. They help me write and different shit like that. What do you say to those artists?
You're telling yourself that people that run this world, people in positions of power, people entrusted with to make laws, to make money, to make this country the country it is, you can't do that intoxicated. You're telling yourself that, but you really the music, I'll say this, the music that I've made in these past 2 years has been the best music that I've ever made in my life.
Mm-hmm.
My experiences have been clean and sober, my temple clean and sober. I write the best everything today because I'm clean and sober, because I have a relationship with God. I'm not religious. I
Mm-hmm.
have a spiritual relationship. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Stay away from religion. Have a spiritual relationship with God. But you just tell yourself that because you're high and you're feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the best. Your best music comes from your experiences.
Yeah,
And to tap into that experience, you got to be clean and sober.
very true. Very, very true. So
You can smoke a little weed or have a drink. That's it. That's it.
that's
Stay away from
all.
the narcotics. Stay away from stay, and you don't have to smoke weed and you don't have to have a little drink. But if you do indulge, that's it. Cut it off because you're gonna grow up and see that people won't cut it off.
Mm-hmm.
Weed isn't a gateway drug. Weed is a drug. Today, people, youngsters, like we seen people come when I was coming up, we seen people smoking weed.
Mm-hmm.
adults. Today, youngsters come up, they see adults taking pills, taking fentanyl,
Yeah.
taking methamphetamines. It's a different, you know what I mean? You use drugs today and you don't you're not gonna give yourself a chance.
Yeah.
We didn't know that because we had to live through it. You don't have to live through it. You can listen to
Mhm.
somebody. You know what I mean? Make the choice to say, man, hey, I'm gonna listen to that, you know.
I'll say, okay. So musically, what can the people expect from you next?
Um, so I have a single and an album that I plan to drop this year. I'm working with a close friend of mine, like family, call him family. He's in the UK. He and I, over the course of almost 3 years, of you know, I ain't gonna say perfected our sound, but we've been able to build, and then I've also been able to build with an individual here in the Bay Area over these 3 years. I have a single called "Clapping Like a Motherfucker" that I'm getting ready to drop. I'm waiting for the rain to stop so I can shoot the video.
Okay.
And like 90 days after that, I plan to drop my first album.
Okay. Hey, well, I look forward to it. Like I said, I went and checked out the last three songs or the three songs that you have out on Apple Music and stuff like that. And like I said,
Yeah, appreciate that.
I enjoyed it. I
I
really
appreciate that. Yeah, I'm not gonna scare you with my music today. You hear a new artist and they just blow your mind. They scare you. You hear
Mhm.
that shit like what the um but my like I say, I write through my experiences, and that has been, if you want to make the best music, write from your experiences.
Yeah.
So I don't at I don't my motto is I live and then I write. I don't write and live. You know what I mean? I live first
Yeah.
and then I write, you know? And it's better, it's fun like that. I don't have any I don't have any restrictions. I can really tap into my craft. I'm not reaching for nothing. I just want to share.
Mhm.
That's it. Good music, you know? Yeah, good music. That's it.
All right.
I think
So
that's my way of giving back because I can't do a lot of well, I don't want to do a lot of the other things. Music is my way of giving back. So yeah, one of them.
nothing wrong with that at all. So let the people know how they can, get in contact with you if they're interested in collabing with you or bring you on for, for an interview, anything like that. How can they get in contact with you?
Um, so my Instagram page, they can contact me, can DM me there. Um, no, scratch that. If they're serious about doing interviews, my email is my first and last name, which is all lowercase GENAROGREGORY 034 at gmail.com. My phone number is 341-999-1198. That's how you can contact me if you're serious.
So I will say this, like I said, again, joining the commission, I was, I, I was happy to be invited in by Bump Jonas, who brought me into the group and everything. And like I said, just hearing your story in the group and different things like that is the reason that I asked you to come on. And I think I told you I didn't really want to talk too much music, but I just wanted to get more of your story because, like I said, to put it out to help somebody, young, old, whoever hears it, hopefully they pick something up good out of it. And again, I really, really appreciate you coming on and sharing your time and sharing your story, with myself and my listeners. And hey, if you have something else coming out, you want to come back on the show and discuss it, hey, doors open for you anytime. I appreciate it. I really did.
I appreciate you too, bro, for real. Yeah, my wife always encourages me to share my story. And so when you asked me, I was like, "That's God saying he's hearing, he's listening to what we both saying." Um, I feel honored that you want to hear me and hear what hear about me and hear some of my experiences. I too was brought into the commission by DMR,
Hmm.
and it's been a beautiful thing.
Oh
And
yeah.
I salute him and Bum Jonas and Rich Notch and everybody, the shared experience, Brianna G, everybody in the commission. You, uh, yeah, we got something built on something.
We
You
do.
know what I
Good
mean?
people.
Yeah, yeah,
They're gonna see. I'm gonna start reaching out to more people in the commission. I'm
absolutely,
I'm back on my podcast grind now, so I'll definitely be reaching out to more people in there. So again, I don't want to hold you up too much longer. I know the missus is waiting and everything. So again, I appreciate your time. Like I said, I'll definitely be in touch in the group, and I'll DM you and let you know when everything is going to drop.
absolutely. I appreciate that, man. And to to the lovers of music, yeah, I'm not gonna disappoint. Yeah, I don't do no disappointing music, so
Yeah.
we're gonna have fun. You're gonna be able to ride to this.
All right. All right. Well, you
Yeah,
have a good one. Stay safe out there. Tell the missus thank you for giving me a little extra time
appreciate that.
to
I
chat with
will. I will. I will. And thank you to everybody that tunes in with you. And again, thank you
you. All right. No
for
problem.
letting me spill on your platform this evening.
Anytime.
God bless you in 2023.
Yes, sir. Have a
You
good
and the
one.
family.
Thank you.